Imagine this beach that we're all going to go, and there's like sun and there's sand and there's wind, and we're like, oh, I can't wait to get there. And then we spend the entire day sort of trying to mitigate and block the sun and the wind and like too much sand.
I'm Christine Cyr-Clisette.
I'm Kyra Blackwell.
I'm Rosie Guerin, and you're listening to The Wirecutter Show.
This episode is called A Day at the Beach.
Hi, guys.
Hey there.
Hi.
I'm coming in hot with something you didn't ask about me.
Oh, wonderful.
You did not ask to know this, but I'm going to tell you that I'm not much of a summer beach person.
Sacrilege. What do you mean?
Does that surprise you?
No.
It doesn't actually surprise me.
I like the beach in the winter.
She's just always in her flannel gear bag.
You know the vibes. Summer beach in New York and New Jersey, it's the crowds, the heat, the schlepping. It's not my vibe.
Yeah, I get that. There are a lot of people on the beach out here in the summertime, but I love the beach. I will go to the beach every weekend. I love it so much.
Yeah,
It's so great.
I really can't do it either. I'm kind of in between you and Rosie. I just want to fly out to somewhere warm with clear water and not bring anything with me except my bathing suit and a towel.
Now, I can get behind that idea too.
Yeah.
But one thing I have to say about the beach, and this is not just the beach, this is also going to the lake with my family in the summertime, or even hanging out at friends who have pools out in the suburbs or whatever, is that this is really a category where I really do think you need to have the right gear to make the day. You got to have the shade. You've got to have something comfortable to sit on. It can really make the day better.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to talk about that a little bit today. We're going to bring on our resident beach expert, Kit Dillion. He is a senior staff writer on our outdoor and travel team. Kit lives in Hawaii, where he tests a bunch of beach gear for us. He's also a surfer, so he's spending a lot of time in the water and on the beach. He basically does beach very, very well.
Yeah, his job is beach.
That's right.
I love it.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we're back, we'll talk with Kit Dillion about how to up-level your beach gear. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. With us now is Kit Dillion, who's a senior writer on Wirecutter's travel and outdoors team. He's also a surfer who spends a lot of time on the beach. His whole job is actually beach, like Ken from Barbie. Kit has written a bunch of our guides to beach shelters, coolers, beach bags, and all kinds of other beach gear. And he also covers luggage, and you may have heard him a few months back on our episode about that.
Kit, welcome. It's great to have you back.
Hi, it's good to be back.
Kit, it sounds very oppressive to be known as the Ken of Wirecutter. What are you doing all day? Are you just sort of sitting on beach chairs, staring out at the Pacific? Is that how you're calling that testing?
That is actually a lot of the testing, yeah. As absurd as that is.
I love this for you.
It's really nice. No, it's a good part of the job.
So so tell me, I mean, within the scope of a day at the beach, what does the testing look like?
You know, the actual testing part is really great because, like you said, you're just sitting there and you're trying to enjoy the things you have. Setting it up and sort of getting to the beach is a total pain. And it's sort of tripled because you're bringing everything you need to go to the beach normally. Then you bring everything you're testing to go to the beach to use. And then there's sort of all the like ephemera that comes with opening boxes at the beach and then dragging the stuff back and forth.
People must think you're a weirdo.
you look like an absolute, yeah, it's nuts.
Looks like you're going to live.
It looks so crazy. Like there'll be like 8 shelters just in a row, and there's just like one guy like sitting under each one. You know, I try to find very private places, and even then, it's like people walk by, and you're like, oh
Why is this guy on this deserted beach with like 8 shelters? This is weird.
Well, the thing is like, it can't be overstated that not all things that folks at Wirecutter test end up as picks.
Yeah.
So you're testing stuff that is like, might not be the vibe.
Absolutely.
But you're not just testing in Hawaii. You've got people testing, or you're testing in other places too, right?
Yeah, so we try and get these things all over the country, largely California, a little bit in New Jersey and New York, some bits of the Carolinas, you know, just trying to sort of test for all the different kind of conditions and types of beaches. There actually seem to be many types of beaches that you can go to, and some equipment works a lot better in some places than others, and we can get into that.
I want to know, Kit, obviously anyone could just get whatever for the beach. You could just get a little flimsy umbrella. You could bring whatever you have at home. What is your case for getting some beach equipment that's really good beach equipment? Does it actually make your day better at the beach?
I really think it does. There is sort of a limit. There's a bar, I think, with beach gear where if you do get the kind of right stuff and the slightly better stuff, it does make the day just easier. Usually the stuff that's a little bit better is lighter. It's easier to set up. It's usually a little bit stronger. You're more comfortable. All the sort of things you want are just there, and then easier to use, which is if you're dragging it from a car to the beach back and forth. Yeah, the beach is like a weird place. It's pretty strange.
Tell us more. What do you mean?
Well, there's a friction to it, kind of, right? We sort of go, we imagine this great place. We imagine this beach that we're all going to go. And there's like sun and there's sand and there's wind. And we're like, oh, I can't wait to get there. And then we spend the entire day sort of trying to mitigate and block the sun and the wind and like too much sand and the water's too cold. And, I need something to put over myself to cover. Everything sort of becomes about defending against the very place. And then we leave and we go, that was amazing. What a good time. What a great day.
This is my diatribe about the beach. This is like, I'm like, you go to the beach in November to take a walk and you can look around and you see the water and you see the thing, or you go to the beach in the summer to surf. It's like, I'm going to, but I don't want to go and schlep and then just fart around.
Oh, so you're very beach task oriented. You want to have a task, a walk, a surf, you're going to do something. I think that the scenario that you just described, Kit, of, sort of struggling on the beach to enjoy yourself and then afterwards feeling like it was a really good time. I feel like there's a lot of things in life that are worthwhile doing that are like that.
Like childbirth,
parenting, like, these are, Kyra's looking at us like, oh God.
No, it speaks to the human condition, I think, for sure.
A little struggle is good for us, Yeah. Like if it's too easy, we won't appreciate it, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, you've done all of this gear testing and you obviously spent a ton of time on the beach. What are the items you think are really worth investing in?
Yeah, no, it's, the easiest ones are beach shelter, a very good chair, and a cooler. Pretty much you've got yourself covered.
Okay, so walk us through that one by one. Let's start with the beach shelter. What is that and what makes a good one?
They've been coming out with these new types of, if you forget about the classic beach umbrella that we all know, they're coming out with these new stretchy fabrics that are held up by tent poles, or they sort of float in the wind a little bit. They're these kind of large coverings that can kind of give you a lot more shade over a bigger area than a normal umbrella, and you're not sort of chasing that shade around because you have this sort of big postage stamp that you can sit under. And the good ones can fit 4 or 6 people under them. So these are becoming kind of a lot more common now.
And if it's just a piece of cloth, then I imagine it's a lot easier to pack, right? You're not bringing like a whole tent to the beach.
Right. They're super light. An umbrella can sometimes be like this 6-foot kind of heavy thing you got to put on your shoulder. If you're trying to include a chair, there's always sort of that image of like the beach dad dragging like 4 things. You see it every time you go down. You see this sort of one family with like just too much stuff. This is one way to like cut that down a little bit.
And what's your pick for that?
So there's one which we can get into, which is it's so specific that we have to kind of talk a little bit about it. The other one is this sort of Sun Ninja. It's nice. It's nylon stretchy fabric over these aluminum tubes. It kind of looks like a Bedouin tent. If you imagine briefly what a Bedouin tent looks like in your mind, then that's kind of what this looks like.
What's the first one that we need to dive deep into?
The deep dive one is called the Shibumi, which it's a terrible name, but that's what it's called.
Let me break out my Shibumi. That's, yeah.
I know.
Honey, did you bring the Shibumi?
That's an interesting, very unique design. I love it. TikTok does not love it. And it's essentially just a arc of aluminum tube, very thin aluminum tubing like you'd find in a camping tent, and a light piece of parasailing fabric stretched across this. And the wind kind of hits this, and then ideally this will sort of float and levitate over your heads, suspended from this one arc of single tubing. So it's very elegant. It does work as long as the winds are sort of constant and light and from one direction.
Am I correct that this was developed down in North Carolina?
Correct.
I was on a vacation down there a couple years ago, and I looked out at the beach, and there were like 50 of these on the sand. They're like a turquoise and a dark blue color.
Yep.
Everyone had the same one. And I remember thinking, the wind here is perfect for these, but I feel like back in New York, I'm not sure that these would work so well, and I actually don't see that many of them up here.
You really do need somewhere like the Carolinas or Florida to a degree as well, where you have just a constant breeze from the water to the shore. And it has to always sort of be the same direction. And in South Carolina, basically is like that, all summer long, just one direction hits the shore. And in Hawaii, we get sort of variable winds, so it can work really well. The nice thing about it is it actually is really good against like assaulting winds. If you have really high winds, this thing will be fine, but it's loud. It can be, when you're sitting under it, it's sort of whipping away.
So it sounds like a flag blowing in the wind.
Yeah, like a huge flag.
Yeah.
So they've come out with a sort of wind assist aspect to it, which are these tie downs that sort of hold the ends down. So when you have no wind, you can kind of stretch it out a bit like a lean-to, which makes it an excellent product. It's just one of these things that it can be so great, and it's so light and so easy to carry and so easy to set up. One person can do it in about a minute, that we can't not make it a pick because it's just an amazing to use. But when it doesn't work, it can be irritating for some people.
I think my family has a beach shelter, and it's like much more cumbersome than this. And my husband and I, fortunately, we get along and we can put it together without fighting. But I have witnessed a lot of other people on the beach putting together beach shelters, and it does
ruining their marriage.
It does seem like a source of tension, especially if it's like a poor design that's hard to put up, or it just doesn't do well in wind. I think that's one case for getting a good shelter, is to just save a relationship. What about umbrellas? Like if somebody's listening and they're like, I don't want a shelter, sounds like too much of a pain. Surely there are good options. I've seen some, but I'm not sure what qualifies as like a good umbrella, because I think the classic problem with the umbrella is it's either like this flimsy thing, a little bit of wind happens and it's like a tumbleweed down the beach, and they don't provide that much shade generally. So what do you recommend for a good umbrella?
All of it's true. There's a really big difference, I think, between the good and bad umbrellas. So when I was young, we used to go to Maine a lot, and some of my earliest memories are like our umbrella just getting caught in some wind and then whipping down the beach, and like all the parents running and apologizing as you sort of run. And
I would have been there, Kit, on that same beach in Maine. So I'm sure I caught your umbrella at least once.
Yeah. So they are getting better. A lot of them come now with sort of sand augers and anchors, and they sit a little bit better. The best one we found, it's called the Beach Bub All-in-One Umbrella System.
Ooh, these names.
Another great name. Yeah, it is. It's like setting up like a column in the middle of the beach. It will not go anywhere. The wind could be 100 miles an hour, and this umbrella just brushes it off.
So any other umbrellas you'd recommend?
Yeah, so we do recommend this other Sportbrella Premier XL that sort of leans on its side.
Is it the kind that looks like it has like ear flaps that go down off the
Yes,
side?
like an umbrella that tipped over. You sort of secure the edges. It creates sort of a half of a tent, half of an umbrella. They're pretty good, except obviously you have to kind of position those against the wind, because if you face it and the wind catches it, you've just created this giant wind tunnel for it to suck into and disappear. If you want one that's not like $1 zillion, but can kind of withstand some gusts of wind, we have the Coolie Bar umbrella, which has a nice covering underneath the umbrella, so it does block a lot of UV ray. And it's about $75. It's pretty good. I just wouldn't expect it to stand up against strong wind.
So what I'm hearing, though, is if you want a really good beach shelter or umbrella, you got to put down some money. These are not cheap things, right? Like, how much are we talking?
Yeah, I mean, the Sun Ninja is actually not too expensive. The Shibumi is in the like $200 range.
Ooh, looks like the Beach Bub's like $150.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're in the hundreds for sure already.
But like, in theory, some of these nicer pieces of equipment will last you longer than like the cheapo thing that will just die.
For sure, the Shibumi should last almost your whole life. You'd have to really work hard to break it. Beach Bub as well is built like a tank. Yeah,
it's just pennies per year.
Invest in your beaching future.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, Kit's going to tell us his picks for the best beach chairs and coolers, plus what you can skip for your next outdoor adventure. Be right back. Welcome back. We're here with Kit Dillion talking about the gear to invest in to make your day at the beach feel like a day at the beach. So we've covered shade. What about chairs? I love this image of you sitting down at a bunch of chairs lined up on the beach. But how do you decide what makes a really good chair?
Strong, lightweight, easy to carry, and then ideally comfortable and supportive. And some notes we've been getting back from older testers especially is a lot of these beach chairs are so low to the ground that they're really difficult to get in and out of. So we've been looking for, and we think we found finally, a chair that's kind of a little bit higher, a little taller seated chair, but still has a reclining function in these things.
Tell us more about that. What's the name?
So that, again, made by Shibumi. They just came out. A lightweight, strong chair that you can clip two chairs together, carry easily on your back with one person, which is sort of an innovation, so to speak, in this world. And they make a chair that's low to the ground and or a model that's high to the ground and is easier to sit in. So, and reclines and is quite comfortable. It's not the most comfortable. That would go to the Yeti, which again is an absurdly priced beach chair.
Well, how much is it?
It is over $300. Ooh,
For one beach chair?
For one single beach chair.
One seasonal beach chair?
I know.
Is it like a massage chair? What is this chair doing for you?
I like this chair more than I like my couch. I will take this thing and go. I'll go anywhere with it. It is so comfortable. And I think it's something about the tension that they've figured out in the fabric. It's just sort of supportive enough. It's like being cradled at the beach. I set that up with my beach bub. I'm so happy. And it's also like $600 worth of equipment.
Oh my gosh.
You know.
Wait a minute. Is this chair like the traditional kind of like Tommy Bahama style chair that it's like, is it like a backpack chair, beach chair that you bring to the beach and you put it down? And is it also kind of one of these lower types of beach chairs?
Yeah. It reclines further than the Tommy Bahama. And imagine the Tommy Bahama just oversized. It's just bigger. It's sort of a Texas-sized chair.
But what is the deal with the Tommy Bahama chairs? Because it's a very popular chair that you will see. Are those not good enough? What's the deal?
No, they're our top pick. They're still our top pick. They're light. They're easy to carry. They're not too expensive. They are comfortable. They're low to the ground. It's just, they've been the standard for so long that, companies come in and they start to use new materials and they make things a little stronger. And there's a lot of room to improve. But again, it's the beach. How comfortable are you ever really going to be at the beach? And why are you trying to be comfortable at the beach? Because it's sort of inherently an uncomfortable place.
This is the existential thinking that I like when talking about the beach. Let's not be frivolous when we talk about the beach. Let's be real.
Yeti makes amazing coolers. We recommend a few of them. You've mentioned that coolers are something that we should be thinking about for the beach. I have long had this like terrible igloo cooler that I think I got at a CVS. But if we're talking coolers for the beach, what do you recommend?
We do like Yeti.
Yeah.
But
like how much better is a Yeti cooler?
it's not that much better for most people.
Okay.
There's certain things that Yeti does really well. They're really sturdy. I mean, originally they were designed to stand on to fish from off of a boat. They just wanted something structurally very sturdy. So, 250-pound person could stand up on it and cast away without sort of tipping over the boat. That was sort of the original intention. They have about 3 inches of insulation all the way around. That's the big innovation of the Yeti.
But you actually recommend, I think your top pick in our guide is this brand RTIC. Am I saying that right?
Arctic.
Arctic. No, come on.
Arctic Circle, RTIC Circle. Yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah, no. So for most cases, we like the Arctic. It's basically the same amount of performance. The one we particularly like is this ultra lightweight. It's inexpensive, really good insulation, particularly on top where it matters. And that's kind of replaced if you imagine all the old Colemans, the igloos, that's sort of the 90s era of coolers have really been outclassed by this new wave of cooler companies.
I was at Target the other day and I saw a whole wall of these Arctic coolers next to a bunch of Coleman and Igloo coolers. What makes these Arctic coolers better?
Well, first they have 3 inches of insulation on top, which the Igloos and Colemans almost certainly do not. The plastic that Arctic uses is just thicker, stronger. It's a sturdier material. The Yeti is even more sturdy because of its method of manufacturing. Still, if you hold up an Arctic, you're like, oh man, this thing's really tough.
I've got little kids. I see people on the beach hauling stuff with beach carts, for instance. My sister-in-law, brother-in-law have one. I've used it. It's great. they're so expensive. I know like the idea is invest in your beach experience, but who are beach carts for? Are they worth it?
I think they're worth it. I don't have children yet, so I don't have one that I keep around that often.
I have our pick, Rosie.
Did it change your life?
It is like getting an SUV for your beach experience. It is
I
worth
you might
it.
say that.
I think it really changed our beach experience. We were kind of like, why didn't we do this sooner?
Yeah.
Like, it was like a real upgrade.
I will say that sitting at the beach and watching people come and go and set up and do their things, the thing that separates the pros from the amateurs is absolutely the beach cart.
Yeah.
When you see a family come down with the beach cart, you're like, oh yeah, they know what they're doing here. They're already miles ahead of everyone else.
I will also say that the one that we recommend, which is the Max Sport Heavy Duty collapsible cart, it has these big, crazy, fat wheels on them that just kind of go over the sand really well. They're not like regular wheels. The people I see with like the regular wheels, they're like getting stuck in the sand and pulling the thing, and it looks very frustrating.
You walk by and you're like, sucker.
Yeah, like,
you're gliding by, Rosie, gliding.
Yeah, you either need a really wide plastic wheel, or there's some carts that are like a very soft, thick rubber.
Yeah.
If you're looking at any kind of carts or you're somewhere, look at the wheels first.
Kit, I heard that you actually just finished testing a bunch of kids' pool and beach toys with a couple of other Wirecutter writers. What was the coolest thing that you tested for this project?
That was actually a really great project. I'm not going to lie. It was awesome.
Yeah, rub it in. That's fine.
It was just like 30 kids at a pool, and you're just throwing toys at them, being like, what do you think of this? What about this one? You know, the coolest thing that I think we stumbled upon, a number of toys, increasingly, they're made from, biodegradable materials. So you'll see like sand building kits that are made out of this material, or things that you can like search for inside the pool, like the little dive toys. It's nice to see people moving away from that sort of disposability when we go to the beach, particularly, but also the pool. We know there's too much plastic, so why are you bringing more plastic to this place?
Well, when it's a kid's toy too, they are always losing stuff. Like you take a plastic bucket to the beach and you're probably not coming home with it.
Right. And so that's where this one thing that I also enjoyed was this called the Sand Dipper, which is a sifter. It basically, you look like an old timey gold miner, or, you pick up all the sand and you sort of sifting it through this basket, and then you get shells and bits. So it's fun, it's a little bit exploratory if you have young children. But then afterwards, when you're sort of packing up, you can go and kind of dig where they were playing, and you'll find like G.I. Joes and whatever was probably left behind or buried.
I'm looking at a picture of it, and it looks kind of like a cross between a sifter and a shovel.
Oh, toys. Like a litter box scooper?
Yeah, it's almost like a big litter box scooper for your toys.
So you can take home all the sea glass and cigarettes your heart's desire.
Are there any things in this beach category that you think are things that people are constantly marketed for going to the beach that you have tested that you're just like, not really worth it?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like beach blankets with like built-in sand anchors that are these nylon tarps that have these corners that you can put sand in, as if you can't just put down a blanket and put sand on the corners or weight it down with a chair. I mean, and then the other one is the one that's the most absurd is like sand repelling beach blankets. These things that you like fine plastic sieves that you lay out, and then apparently as sand hits it, it's supposed to sort of fall through, and then you just have this plastic area that you can sit on. Just don't go to the beach. If you hate sand, don't go to the beach.
Do you hear that, Rosie?
I heard it.
So what I'm hearing here is if you are dedicated and want to have a great beach summer, whether that means going to the ocean, hanging out by the lake, going to the pool, get some good shade, whether it's like a shelter, whether it's an umbrella, that's really where it's worth spending some money. Comfortable chairs, always going to be good. You're never going to regret that. And a cooler, if you're the type of person who likes to bring yummy things to eat. And then also a cart. A cart is going to be like a real up level for people, especially families, if you're schlepping a lot of stuff to the beach.
It's about it, really. Pretty much all the way there.
All right, keep it simple.
You solved it.
Kit, thank you so much. It's been so great having you on the show.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Bye, Kit.
Lovely to have you on.
Kyra, Rosie, are you going to change your tune? Are you going to become beach people this summer?
No.
Nope.
But this was fun.
This was so fun. I loved learning about all of these things, and it really confirmed my desire to not visit the beach in the summer. I have to reiterate, I love being there in the fall. I do not want to be there between Memorial Day and Labor Day.
Rosie has rested her case and mine. So
All right. Well, then what was for you in this episode? Like, what is something that you are actually going to take away?
I think my takeaway is that you can't go wrong with the Tommy Bahama chair.
I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty solid takeaway.
I don't know if I really would use it just for a beach chair, though. I actually have been looking for a chair to just sit outside of my apartment building like an old man.
Oh,
like
I think it
suntan.
works. I've seen lots of people take them to like music festivals and, seems like a solid chair.
Lean into that life, that
Yeah.
Tommy Bahama life.
Yeah.
Totally.
Get some flip-flops.
We're going to the beach this summer with some family, and I'm taking some of this advice very seriously, and I'm going to rent a cart because I don't like the schlepping.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to kind of alleviate some of the tension of let's pack everything up, let's schlep it, let's put it down, and then let's schlep back.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. Just spend that money, get that cart.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to get a new cooler. I think I'm going to go with this. I hate to say this, but this Arctic cooler. I hate that.
Be bold.
Yes, I will. And I'm super excited because we are going to drop a bonus episode later this week about snacks and recipes that are great for taking to the beach. That will be with New York Times cooking editor Tanya Sachensky. I think I'll get some good ideas for what to pack in my new cooler.
That's great. Tanya is incredible. She also writes the Veggie newsletter. Can't wait to talk to her. One more bonus takeaway here, I think, that sums it all up is invest in yourself, right? Invest in yourself. Take your own pulse. If you're a beach person, I love that you are, Christine. I respect you, Kyra. I see you.
Thank you.
Treat yourself. If you can, invest in this stuff because it might make things a little bit simpler and it might make the day a little bit sweeter.
Don't suffer at the beach
suffer.
with things that are making your life worse.
If you want to find out more about Wirecutter's beach coverage, Kit's reporting, go to our website, or you can find a link in our show notes. That's it for us. Have fun at the beach, you all. We're going to see you next week.
That's right. See you. And don't forget to check out our podcast feed for the bonus episode.
Bye.
Bye.
The Wirecutter Show is executive produced by Rosie Guerin and produced by Abigail Keel. Engineering support from Maddie Mazziello and Nick Pittman. Today's episode was mixed by Katherine Anderson. Original music by Dan Powell, Marian Lozano, Alicia Etup, and Diane Wong. Wirecutter's deputy publisher is Cliff Levy. Ben Fruman is Wirecutter's editor-in-chief. I'm Kyra Blackwell.
I'm Christine Cyr-Clisette.
And I'm Rosie Guerin.
Thanks for listening. Your whole job is beach. I love it.
I've got a little song too.
Yeah, we're going to have that part at the end. It's all coordinated and choreographed.